بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Now I brought up some pictures to make this thing, this little talk a bit more vivid in your eyes. And usually when someone relates a picture to information, it's hard for him to forget it. So it basically gets engraved in your memory because your brain is having fun with the information. When your brain is having fun with the information, your brain tends to keep that memory. The Sayyid's asking you to ask the English-speaking shabab to come closer. Please salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the question is, why fasting? The question is, why fasting? Now, when you look up Google and you look up the reasons that they have put for fasting and why we should fast, they don't look at it from a biblical point of view. They don't look at it from a religious point of view. Now, as Muslims, we go back to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, which leads us back to the Holy Quran. And the Quran is the most solid divine message we have. And after that comes the narrations of Rasulullah ﷺ and Ahlul Bait ﷺ. So we seek the knowledge and we seek the information from the source, from the divine, the all-divine, almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which has revealed the Holy Quran onto us. So let's move to the next slide and see what the Quran has to tell us and teach us and guide us. O you have believed, decreed upon you is fasting as it was decreed upon those before you, that you may become wary of Allah's existence or Allah's presence. So the idea behind fasting is for someone to gain taqwa, which is the belief of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence and the belief of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence at all times. Now as we go through the speech, as I talk to you and tell you more, you will see and understand how it all connects. Why we need to fast. Why we need to change our way of life. And say, hold on, from dawn, from Salat al-Fajr until sunset, I do not eat, I do not drink, I prevent myself from all sorts of desires. Anything that I want to do, that I could do in the other months, I cannot do in the whole month of Shahr Ramadan. Now, let's move on to the next slide. Taqwa, we'll explain a bit about Taqwa a little bit. Taqwa is being aware of Allah's existence, which leads to being afraid from Allah, not to disobey Him. Now why I added not to disobey Him? Because we're not afraid of Allah that He might oppress us. Subhanallah an dhalik. Jallallah an dhalik. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not oppress anyone. He does not oppress even a little ant, let alone a human being. So we're not afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala oppressing us. But what are we really afraid from? We're afraid from our shaitan. We are afraid from us getting into sin or disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which He has put a lot of punishment for someone that disobeys Him. Not because He wants to oppress us, not because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ظالم. هسه خلينا نحكي لنا في النقطة باللغة العربية. يقول لك واحد قال يا الله اظلم اللي ظلم الحسين. هذا عقله هيك، اظلم الله ما يظلم. بس هو شيء يقول يا الله اظلم اللي ظلم الإمام الحسين. Anyway, so when we look at taqwa, it means God weary, aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence, aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence. Let's move to the next slide, please. So when you see this example, when you're driving and you see this sign, you see mobile speed camera ahead, or you see police enforcing whatever, taking cameras or checking for speed limits. What happens instantly? The first thing you do is you look at your gauge and see how fast you're driving, right? Because that sign tells you that there are police ahead. And that means if you're speeding, you'll cop a fine, you'll be punished. Police don't stop you and punish you for no reason. So when you're doing everything fine, you've got your seatbelt on, you got your driving on the right speed limit, everything in your tyres are, you know, they haven't lost their grips, everything's working fine, you're not afraid from the police, because you know the police, even if they stop you, they won't do anything to you. They'll just let you go. Driver's license, thank you very much, good luck, see you later. You got your rego, you got your speeding, you know, intact, you're all on the right speed limit and everything. They won't do anything to you. However, the one that hasn't done his rego, or he hasn't worn his seatbelt, he wears it straight away. So he's aware, while he's driving, he's aware of his speed the whole time. He's cautious, he's aware, he's driving. He's not driving fast, he's driving slowly. He's driving carefully. He makes sure he does not go 61 kilometers an hour if the speed limit is 60. Isn't that right? So you're always aware of this camera's existence. Or if it says police ahead, you're aware to see, waiting for the highway patrol or the police car. Okay? So you make sure you pass them and you're driving through, you smile, you know, hi, hello, and bye. And then after that you want to take off and drive faster. That's a different story. So Shahr Ramadan, basically, and taqwa, this is what taqwa means. This is what it means, like just an example to bring it closer to our minds. So that's what it means. Taqwa means to be aware, full aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence at all times. And that's why there's different levels of taqwa. There's someone that is aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence when you see him coming into the mosque. He's aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence. There's someone that's aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence when what? There's people around. Once the people are gone, there's no Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's ones that if they're in their home country, they're in Iraq, Iran, America, wherever around the world, they're all good because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists there. And once they come to Australia, there's no more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's some people, there's different levels, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Shahr Ramadan teaches us to be afraid and aware of His existence at all times. As we move on, we'll explain further. Please move on to the next slide. Okay, the month of Ramadan is a training ground to acquire taqwa. This is where we train with our desires, against our desires, our souls, our spirits, our mind, our mental status is fighting and is in a battle with ourselves, with our desires, with what we really want to do. We want to eat, we want to sleep with our women at night, we want to drink water, we get thirsty. We get thirsty, we get hungry, and they're all essence of our living. They're all basic life needs. It's what we all need to attain, to live. So let's move on to the next slide, please. Even though nobody can see you, break your fast, you feel the existence and presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the whole idea of Shahr Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you you're not allowed to eat, you're not allowed to drink, you're not allowed to do a few things. Some things are forbidden on you, 10 things are forbidden for you to do. And He tells you you're not allowed or you're forbidden of doing these acts, okay, in Shahr Ramadan. But when no one is seeing you, you might go for a little sip of water because there's no one looking at you. So this is what it teaches us in Shahr Ramadan. It teaches us and it makes us practice the presence or the feeling of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it trains us, even when there's nobody there, even if I'm alone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put two angels that write every move you make and every step you take. They write it down. رقيب وعتيد. ما يلفظ من قول إلا لديه رقيب عتيد. They write down everything you say, every move you make, every step you take, every family you meet, every cousin you see, every good deed, every good act or good deed you do, it will be written, and every bad one will be written as well. So that's why you have to be very careful and very cautious and very aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence. We'll move to the next slide. Now, the story of Abel and Cain is the first story of taqwa. And why do we need taqwa? So why do we need Shahr Ramadan? Why do we need the whole Quran to obtain taqwa? What for? What do I need taqwa for? Why can't I just do what I do without taqwa? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in the Holy Quran. I'll recite you the verse and recite to them the story of Adam's two sons in truth. When they both offered a sacrifice to Allah and it was accepted from one of them but was not accepted from the other. His brother Qabil told him, which is Cain, I will surely kill you. Indeed, Allah only, he's replying to him, Habil, which is Abel, he says, indeed, Allah only accepts from the righteous. So from the muttaqeen. إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. So that's why you need taqwa. And that's why you need Shahr Ramadan to train your taqwa. To train the feeling of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence. So this is where it all began. What did Cain do? Qabil. He went, he saw his wheat. He took the least he can, the least bunch of wheat. He took it in his hand. He took him out and he went and placed it to wait for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept it. What did Habil do? What did Abel do? There was no one watching Qabil. No one saying if this bunch of wheat is better than that bunch. No one. So what did he do? He chose the worst. What did Habil do? Habil, he went and he's got sheep. He chose the fattest and the best sheep. And he came and he placed it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted Habil's sacrifice and did not accept Qabil's, because Habil was aware and aware, was very wary and aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence. He knew Allah is looking at him, choosing that sheep. So he chose the best. So every time you have taqwa, you will choose the best. That's how it always works. And the main idea, the main goal, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, the main reason we're in this earth, this planet, is to be tested. And to be tested, there means that there's someone that's going to accept your test and someone that will refuse your test. So the main goal, move to the second slide please, the last slide. The main goal, if Allah accepts our deeds, we reach our main goal, and the goal is to enter heaven. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased by your acts, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts your acts, you have reached your goal. So taqwa, training your taqwa, and needing your taqwa to achieve your goal. And your goal is to enter heaven. It's that simple. This world is just a corridor. When you're entering a corridor and you're entering here and exiting there, you don't look at the walls and say, you know what, I need to change something here, I need to do something there, I need to put a beautiful... You won't even care about the corridor, how it looks, how you have it, what kind of effect it has on your life. You wouldn't care because you want to reach the end of the corridor and get out of this corridor. This whole universe, this whole planet is that corridor. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created everything for us. Everything. خلقت يا ابن آدم خلقت كل شيء لأجلك. Everything is created for you. You have intellect. You have you're superior to all beings. Everything you ride, you kill to eat. You own the world. You own the planet. You're destructing the planet as well as you're going through that process. So He has created everything for you, and He asks only for you. And He created only you for Him. So our worship must be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we need to feel that presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or else we will astray. Or else we will take the wrong path. Now, in order for us to feel the presence of Allah, there's no point of feeling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence if we don't know where we're getting our knowledge from. If we don't know where, what should we do to please Allah and what should we abstain from that doesn't please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyway, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to first attain knowledge, gain knowledge and learn in order then to say, okay, this pleases Allah, I am aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence, I won't do this, and this does not please Allah, I won't do it, what pleases Allah, I will do. Okay? Where do we get that knowledge from? Quran and Ahlul Bayt sallallahu alayhi. That's where we get our knowledge from. We get our knowledge from the newborn of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. الحسن بن علي عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام لذكره صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. That's where we get our knowledge from. We get it off Imam al-Hasan, of Imam al-Hussein, of Fatima al-Zahra عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام, of Imam Ali عليه الصلاة والسلام, of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, which is the crown of Ahlul Bayt sallallahu alayhi. So this is where we have to obtain our knowledge, to know where we need to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how we gain His pleasures and how we please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's where we have to gain our knowledge. Now I want to share one narration. I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to share one narration of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. It's a very easy narration and it's got a nice twist to it. So the narration goes, An al-Hasan, قال الحسن, and I'll tell you every Hasan, who's that Hasan if you want after the speech, anyone that wants to know, I'll tell you who this Hasan are. It says, عن الحسن قال الحسن عن الحسن بن أبي الحسن قال الحسن بن علي عليه الصلاة والسلام إن أحسن الحسن الخلق الحسن. The best of the bestest is the good deeds. That is the best thing. Is the best of manners. That is the best thing. That's the best good deed you can do. That's the best act you can apply and achieve in your life, is have good manners, good akhlaq, with your neighbors, with your fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters, with your wives. Be nice, be kind. And I'll just end this speech with a loud salawat, please, and a fatiha for all the martyrs of Al-Hashd al-Sha'bi, for all the martyrs of موالين أهل البيت عليه الصلاة والسلام. من مات على الإسلام من لم يذكر ذاكر تسبقها الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.